What can you tell me about the InfoWars and the access of the Western media to the Russian audience?
It is so that there's a French satellite company called Eurotelsat. Eurotelsat is basically providing the satellite capacity to two Russian satellite TV providers, which distribute a package of TV channels. Eurotelsat basically have decided to remove Western news from the things they're transmitting to 15 million Russian households and maintain the Russian channels. My personal opinion is they should either turn off the satellite and say we don't want to deliver TV to 15 million Russian households. Alternative, they should start sending the Western TV channels into Russia again so that these people living in Russia, 15 million households, can get another view than just only Putin's view. I call Eurotelsat as Putin's one of his most important propaganda machines.
Do you think the Western sanctions were effective on Russia? How do you comment on the fact that the Chinese companies are filling the gap left by Western companies in Russia?
I think it's important to say that we have put a lot of sanctions on Russia, but we not only put a lot of sanctions on Russia, more than 1,000 companies, independent of sanctions, have decided to pull out of Russia and said our customers in the Western Europe or in the West or outside Russia, our shareholders don't want us to do business in Russia, so we're pulling out. We see a lot of Chinese companies, they stay in Russia, that will say they fill in the gap. So when Ericsson and Nokia goes out of Russia, Huawei and ZTE deliver the equipment. When HP and Dell goes out of Russia, Lenovo will deliver the equipment. And basically, we in the Western world, we have to go out and put more pressure on China and say, or we should do it in that way, saying that if you're buying Lenovo PCs, you're actually supporting a company which is supporting Putin. And I think it's very important to say that the sanctions have had a huge effect in Russia, but the effects get minimized as if Chinese companies is filling the gap.
Where is the fine line between the sanctions and the profit of the companies?
I think we have passed the point where we cannot talk about a line. I think this is about freedom. You're born and live here in Romania. I was here in Romania first time when it was Ceausescu who was in power. When I look at the Romania today, it's a totally different country. And I think a lot of people will agree with me that freedom is important. And sometimes you cannot put the price on freedom because freedom is priceless. It's basically very important to understand this. So I think this discussion about profit and we should be friends with Putin because then we could make more money and all those things. Sorry, it's thinking short term. We had actually during the Second World War, England had a Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, who made a peace deal with Hitler because he thought if he made that deal with Hitler, he basically could get peace in the rest of Europe. The result was Second World War, and the rest is history. This country was living in the dark during the communists for quite many years.
Should the citizens have a word when it comes to how long the war lasts, or is it just something the government should decide on?
That's a very good question. The reality is that some of these decisions, we can say we elect the politicians, so the citizens are a part of the decision because they've elected. But some of the decisions which the politicians are going to make and will make is difficult to explain. It's difficult to explain why it have an effect, why you're doing it. So sometimes things can be a little bit complicated. Always use the case of Brexit. How many of those who voted for Brexit in England actually know what the consequences will be for England? If we look at it today, is Brexit a success? Definitely not. Have the Brexit people delivered what they promised? Definitely not. Will they do it in long term? I doubt. So I think it's very important to say that sometimes we must understand that we elect some politicians. They have to make some decisions. Some of the decisions they make is popular. Some of them is unpopular. But in the end of the day, it's about our life improved, that the life you have tomorrow is better than the life you had today, and the life you have in 5 or 10 years have even improved more.
Why is this forum here in Bucharest important for what's happening today in the world, especially in Ukraine?
I've been speaking on this forum several times across the world, in Peru, no, not in Peru, in Panama, in Guatemala, in Budapest, in New York, and in Washington, and of course here and so on. And what's interesting here, we have about 400 top politicians, senators, members of parliaments, presidents, and so on, top people from all the world, which comes together, share knowledge, shares visions, shares ideas, and they go here and they basically got confirmed that some of the ideas they have is correct. They maybe get some new ideas and they spread it around the world. This is a very important part of ensuring that the values for a free world is getting spread around the world. When people come from Africa, from Latin America, from all over Europe, even there's some few people from Asia here, when they come, we actually do this together and we spread it. And we not only that, there's thousands of people watching it online. And the fact that people also watch it online means this is interesting for politicians from other parts of the world which maybe don't have the time to go all the way to Bucharest. But just see the numbers of people flying into Bucharest here and the countries they come from is impressive. I'm really saying the effect of this will be huge. That's good. Are you satisfied? I tried it before.